Hello and welcome to another VOD review here on the channel. We're going to be looking at the San Francisco Shock taking on the Boston Uprising. Happy to have you here. No stalling going on around here. We're going to watch the San Francisco Shock. So Boston Uprising were coming off of a great win against the Paris Eternal. San Francisco Shock are coming off a loss to the Dallas Fuel? Where are we at this point of time? They lost on map 5 to the San Francisco Shock. Am I right about that? Yeah. They lost in map 5 to the, they lost in map 5 to the Dallas Fuel. It's a pretty close match. The last time the San Francisco Shock, they played a lot of Pharah. For the most part, the San Francisco Shock are playing a ton of Pharah. They're leaning in with Nero, but they actually show in this match against the Boston Uprising, there's a ton of flexibility that they have. So they do play almost exclusively on. I think Glister comes in for like one map, if I remember correctly. But for the most part, they play this roster with Smurf and Super coming in and out a little bit. And they play a lot of different things. So they play the Pharah on control. Sometimes they play like the Orisa slower style with like the Baptiste Brig. While the Boston Uprising, we saw them coming off a great win over the Paris Eternal. What they're best at, in my opinion, is playing against the Pharah. Punk does a great job on the D.Va. Their team seems to function well. They play the Wrecking Ball dive style to a pretty high potential, and that's great for them. But what you're going to see in this series is the San Francisco Shock. Oh my god, why is Dallas on my mind? The San Francisco Shock kind of like rock, paper, scissors Boston Uprising into a corner, and then Boston decide to go Genji, and it all goes terribly from there. So we're going to break that down and watch that and see these teams go back and forth. Tell them to subscribe. Yeah, subscribe and like and all those good things. So then you can watch my YouTube videos on demand. That sounds great, right? Where you can watch them whenever you want them and at your own time without telling me to start the VOD. That sounds really nice to me and everyone involved. So just let's get into this. Make sure you do all those things.
2, 1. Round 1. Capture.
So, as I said, we're going to see the San Francisco Shock coming out on the Pharah. So, this is an unironic good soldier pick. It seems like a lot of teams are favoring the soldier. Arns isn't the best tracer, and I think a lot of teams have been like, you don't have to play the tracer, especially if you're playing against a Pharah. You can play the soldier who can play far away, put out a ton of damage, and then against it is Zen Brig. There's not enough healing to sort of heal up Stam 1 and Punk, so the soldier plays around pretty free. Thank you very much. Can be punished, but I think the soldier can work from time to time. AOD the Clan, thank you very much for Prime Sub. And Bandit with 100 bits. I'm on YouTube most of the time and there's no story VODs there. Only way to see the stream is miss out and sleep. Yeah. Come in for all the exclusive different things on my Twitch channel. We just had a great conversation about travel and the Overwatch League and stupid things that I've done and why I almost got arrested and went to jail and died. It's a good time, so make sure to check it out if you haven't. And we're gonna see Arns and Twilight get cornered. We saw, who else did this? The Dallas Fuel did the exact same thing where they rolled out and they went over here and they just get booped off by the Wrecking Ball. Like, let's watch it happen again. I don't know why teams keep cornering themselves over here. If you're gonna go in here, I think you need to go in the room. You need to fight to get into the room, otherwise this happens. Twilight gets booped off. Arns is now sort of stuck in a corner, doesn't have anywhere to go, and Stam1 doing a great job. And Stam1 has actually been really Stam1's actually been really impressive with his main tank play recently. I wasn't as sold when Boston picked him up, but he's actually been quite good. He let go of the spacebar for that little second too early thing. I don't think it's really going to change anything, but you know, the Violet Mercy is something that is brought up a lot. In terms of like, I think Violet's Brig is definitely good. I think it's better than FD Gods, but if he is going to come in to play that Brig role, right now they play a lot of Pharah Mercy. Violet is required to play the Mercy. So we'll try and keep an eye on that and sort of break that down as it keeps going on. So Uprising at the first point capture. As I said, I think Boston is very good against this Pharah composition. I think they know how to play it against it very well. I think it starts with Punk as well. This mega health pack being hacked is very important as well. Punky and Stam1 can keep going back and forth on it. Like, Shock are so scared of getting engaged on that they're playing so slowly, right? Like, they're waiting to go through white, get in position. They don't want to go over the bridge. But it's going to be very hard for them to get point control, especially seeing as this happens, right? As soon as they start walking forward, IM37 gets an EMP, drops it, and they get a great attack. It's very hard to engage into this composition from the Boston Uprising, because if you think about it, right? If you're the San Francisco Shock, what do you want to do? You want to get your Pharah, Soldier, and Wrecking Ball in place and punish the Zen and the Brig, because they're the most fundamental things to get killed. But you have to run through the Tracer, Sombra, Wrecking Ball, D.Va, and that's what they're struggling to do. And this is why you generally see more of a Tracer over the Arn Soldier, because Tracer can move around the map quite freely, regardless of what the rest of his team is doing, and going to apply pressure to the Zen Brig. I like the flexibility between Violet and Twilight without Lucio. My biggest problem with the Violet Twilight back and forth, like we see Violet play BAP and then we see Twilight play BAP and then we see Violet play Zen and then we see Twilight play Zen. I swear they're just going back and forth all the time. Is that it doesn't feel like either of them are excelling all the time, right? Like they're not playing to their highest potential, because it feels like they're all over the place with how they're coordinating. They're obviously both very talented and they make it work, but I think it could be better with players of their caliber. So we're gonna get a nano in from Nero, and fucking Myunbong just instantly uses the Transcendence to make this redundant. Don't know if I agree with that Valk from Violet 2v thing, especially seeing as... Why did he leave the Pharah? Isn't Nero just dead now? I don't know why he Valked and used that and ran away. Alright. Alright. Alright, so mine's on a Myunbong. He doesn't have the oh, he hits that mine. Faith wasn't close enough to, Faith needed to be closer to Smurf there on that one. So EMP by M37. Oh wow, great dive. And the coordination from Boston Uprising against these players is just so good. I think Arns needs to switch. I would like to see Arns switch to that Tracer on this respawn. Oh, he's gonna stay Soldier. Alright, Faith has Rally though, so Faith is immortal. Oh, actually, here's another doozy one if you haven't seen this one. Flip point. Oh, that's true. They did flip the point, which is a big deal. That's just unlucky. Like, there's been a couple of bad plays. This is just unlucky. Nero is upset, though. Nero, as the Pharah, is playing fine. He's literally just getting left behind. That flip is important, though, from the San Francisco Shock. Smurf or Super on ball? Honestly, I think both are... I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you prefer Super or Smurf on ball? I honestly think they're quite equivalent on the Wrecking Ball. But I haven't paid a ton of attention to their balls. Like, I haven't noticed either one being way better. There's a lot of Super. I like Super's ball. Alright, interesting. I'm gonna go to IBM Watson. What does Watson say? IBM Watson, Overwatch. What is... Let's see what the robots are saying. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Alright, tank. Oh, wait, hero. Wrecking Ball. I didn't think about this when we went into it, but the answer is neither, according to the robot. Well, shit. Not enough playtime. I think it's just probably bottom 10. They don't have much playtime on it, so it's probably hard to get them above, but... Yeah, obviously, like, it's kind of hard for IBM Watson to do all those kind of things, so... I prefer Smurf if there's going to be a chance that they're going to play Winston. I prefer Super if there's a chance they're going to play the Orisa Ryan. So I actually really like their main tank subbing strategy, where Smurf comes in for control, and, like, even some, like, Anubis and Assault, I'm pretty sure. But for the most part, Super will play on like Escort or Hybrid and stuff like that, where you want to play those Orisas and Ryans. So it is interesting seeing that play out. I actually kind of like their subbing strategy right now. I like them playing Arns and not as much Glister. But I think the main support stuff, they've sort of pushed themselves into a hole where they just have to play Violet Twilight at this point, right? Suzu's been playing a dope ball in ranked. Yeah, I don't watch Super Stream really that much, like when he plays ranked Overwatch, so I can't really speak to that. So that's why I was sort of trusting you guys, because I feel like some of you guys pay more attention to the players more than I do, especially like players like Super. So once again, they're on the point. IM37 is getting close to an EMP. I actually remember this EMP. This was the weirdest EMP ever. Look at this. I think he thinks he has EMP when he throws this in. He's like, haha! He's like, oh shit. How does Violet not bash that? Does he have bash? That was so dangerous. If Violet was on the ball, that would have been an easy bash. Like, that is like legitimately the easiest bash of your life. So IM37 and Violet both with some interesting plays. So IM37 goes down, but the EMP was sick. I think he hit 6 with that. And that's just a win from there. Surprised they didn't nano the visor, especially with the D.Va being out of mech. I think if they nano visor, this unironically would have killed 7. Like... But they nanoed the ball. I guess they want the stall, but... Alright, Myeongmong gets the Transcendence. And there it is. No, Violet's Brig isn't bad. I actually like Violet Brig. Alright, what do we got? Let's watch some Nero Pharah. So Boston's gonna play this slower comp, and I don't like this comp from Boston. I understand, like, you get it, right? Like, but I feel like it's very hard to control. Oh, I don't like this. I did not notice this. I don't really like the double hit scan. I don't mind if they played the Tracer Soldier, or like Tracer McCree, I would like it way more. But like, because the Tracer could bully Violet, right? Like the Tracer could be all over the Baptiste, because Twilight has to stay with Nero. Like Choi needs to apply pressure in the front line. I think the Tracer would be better. I think if this makes you too one-dimensional if you're the Boston, like you're all just trying to stand behind this Orisa shield, and it makes it very easy for everyone to maneuver around you. By putting in a Tracer, I think you apply a lot more pressure around the map. Why Widow here? I don't know. I don't like the Widow at all. I'm kind of curious to see what Arns does with it. Yeah, also, this is something worth noticing as well. The Twilight Mercy is also a thing. They definitely go back and forth. When they want to play the Orisa, they want to play Violet on the Baptiste. But that means Twilight plays the Mercy. And this is what I don't like about their support combo, is that it feels like there's no consistency between anything. Like, imagine being Nero. When you are a Pharah or when you are a Mercy, the way your other person that you're lashed to plays is very important, right? The way you maneuver around. I played with a ton of different Pharahs as a Mercy. Some Pharahs you have to play closer to because they're more likely to curve around walls. Some Pharahs play more aggressively. Some play more passively. It's the same thing with a Mercy. Like, Nero is probably getting an inconsistent level of play from Mercy, where it's like, sometimes he needs to play more around his Mercy, sometimes he needs to play, sometimes he's getting more damage boost, sometimes he's getting more healing. I'm sure that's probably very jarring to change that up a lot of the time, between round to round, right? Yeah, it literally Twilight's interplay the Ana is 100% it, for the most part. Widow makes sense because they weren't expecting shields. I just disagree. Like, if they weren't playing shields, they would be playing this comp, right? Tracer Sombra, Wrecking Ball D.Va. And unless Arns is just a god, I'm pretty sure Arns is about to just get run over. Oh, wow, that was close. I actually don't know how that missed. See, his thing is that he's gonna have to play so far away so he doesn't get dove, but for that exact reason, he's not gonna hit a shot. Oh, he's getting a couple of opportunities. It's so awkward for Widow. For the exact reason, like, you can see, you just can't see anything. Here comes the dive. Here comes the slam. Violet gets booped off by that? I mean, if anyone can pull it off, yeah. How does Violet get got here? Oh, wow, that was unlucky. That was a great boot by Stam 1. Big. I would say one of my biggest problems with the Widow as well is, did you see how much space they have to give to just protect the Widow? It feels like they have to play so defensive to help the Widow. Like, he should just go Tracer or Soldier at this point. Violet's an amazing Ana. He just doesn't want to play it. His Ana's, like, I feel like he would be good at Ana, but apparently he doesn't want to play it. Goes Kree. Nero goes Torb. Torb McCree. I don't mind this. I don't mind this comp from the Shock, and I think this was popularized by the Atlanta Reign, playing this very defensive style against this comp. So this comp counters this comp, right? But the problem is, if Boston went to Pharah, the Pharah comp, in my opinion, counters this comp, because you play so slowly against a Zen, and you can't punish the Zen, because like they're playing Zen Mercy, but you can't punish the Zen still because you're so slow. It allows you to just like put out a ton of damage from range. Like you can have Valentine even switch off to like the soldier, and then you do a ton of damage, and you sort of like just break through the shields and break through it with the sheer amount of damage. Especially the thing is you can spread around them. So that's sort of what I talk about when it's like a rock, paper, scissors, right? Of if Shock came out on this comp, Boston would be winning on Pharah. But because Shock came out on Pharah, Boston had to switch away from their double hit scan, right? So essentially they kind of flipped comps, right? So originally Boston were playing the slow bunker double hit scan style, but then they switched to this comp, and then Shock goes to the same composition that Boston was playing, but now Boston's comp is now being counter comp, right? So is Boston going to switch back to the Pharah, or are they just going to stick on it? Why does Iris only play BAP? I think it's just comfort. Like, I think they're just playing to their strengths. Oh, wow. How does he die? Why isn't Hanzo good even if you're not playing against Pharah? No, Hanzo is good if you're not playing against Pharah. Like, I think if you were... Like, if you're Arns, I think if you were playing against, like, Shields, Hanzo can work, right? If they were in Orisa v Orisa, I think you'd see Hanzo. But obviously, McCree and Torb are just better against Tracer, Sombra, Wrecking Ball, right? More consistent. Oh, wow, okay. I'm 37, just wasn't ready for the flash. What do you think comp is the best? I actually think it's map dependent right now. I think, personally... I think the Pharah, a team that can play... Wait, what? Why can't I do anything? A team that can play this comp and play the Pharah comp while not changing out any players are the best teams. And that is why I actually really like the way that Dallas plays. I don't think these Orisa comps will work in the long term. I think they're going to get found out as time goes on. I could be wrong. Maybe the Orisa comps come out to be very strong. Maybe there are some maps in which the Orisa is better. But for the most part, I think if you can play this Tracer Sombra dive, but then switch it to the Pharah if teams want to go this comp, I think that is the best thing to do from this weekend. What do you think about the Rein? I think Orisa should be better than the Rein, right? Like, I think the Orisa just does more passively, right? I think the Supercharger is a better ultimate. I think the long range damage and the Fortify is really nice for Orisa. The benefits of the Rein is if you do get on top of them or people end up on top of you, you do a lot of damage with your swing. And you have a big shield that is maneuverable, right? You can move with the shield so people can play around you better. So that is what I think the benefit of the Rein is. I don't think those benefits offset the value that you get from Orisa, though. Yeah, like maybe in a place where you can 100% just like set yourself down in like a narrow choke and Rein is better, but yeah. Free shadows all day. I still think Supercharge is a better ultimate, though. No. That is why this comp counters that. Like, the ball just doesn't exist. So they use Rally and Transcendence to get into this fight, right? Yeah, it was just... That's just old advantage, I think, from the Boston Uprising. Punk might lose mech here, though. And this is the weakness of the composition of the Boston Uprising, right? They have the Transcendence, they have the Rally. As soon as they ran out of those things, they don't have healing. Punk has been on, like, 50 health for the entire game, it feels like. So they are going to get a win, but that did cost them a lot, right? That was EMP, Transcendence, Rally. Arns has great aim, but it seems to have poor coordination / game sense. I disagree with that. I think that is more Arns just being out of the game for a little bit. I think last year Arns had great coordination and game sense. Like, even on the hero, like, that's what made him great, is he had great awareness and great aim. But I think he's lost a little bit of that awareness just because he didn't play the game for like a year, right? So I think he's slowly getting back into it. Stand one, don't die again. Pulse on goes down. Nero throws his moist splooge all over the point. And here's why, like, look at Boston can't legitimately look at what they do here. Where did Arns go? To Valorant. He retired because of mental health issues and then he went to Valorant. So here's the issue, and I'm going to highlight this again. So, all right, like, Shock walk out, stand one goes for a play, gets bashed, gets stunned, gets really low, has to disengage, right? Because they don't get that engaged, like Valentine or Punk are here for the engage, they just, that slam doesn't go down, they can't do it. So Shock literally just walked to the point. Obviously, Nero puts down some pressure to stop them from Boston from touching the point, but how does Boston get into this fight at all? They need an EMP, they need a defensive ultimate, they need something, and that's why this composition from the Shock, I think, counters what the Boston Uprising are doing. So I think they're probably, I think they might need a D.Va Bomb engage. Honestly, I think a D.Va Bomb engage is probably their best bet. Or just wait for the EMP, but I guess we're in last fight territory anyway. On Tynoon. Oh, that's an EMP. Rally from the Shock, though, will give him a lot of time. Someone help Ants. Oh, wow, that was an important last shot to hit. Fake dying so close to Rally. He comes back with Rally, but at this point the fight's over, right? So that's just the Shock's comp being better, especially once they start getting ultimates. Even though the EMP was great, the Rally's already down, right? Why aren't they playing Super? They're playing Monkey? Because Smurf is the Monkey player for the Shock. The Smurf's a better Monkey than Super is. If they aren't playing Monkey, I think there are times in which they think they might want to play Monkey. I would assume. Yeah, I think the Widow was a bit of throw from Shock. Like, I don't understand the Widow.
Round 3. Capture the objective.
Alright, so Boston's gonna come out with the Hanzo Soldier Orisa. So they're just gonna have a ton of damage. I think their comp loses. I think Shock's comp is better. I think the Pharah's gonna go pretty unchecked. But I think either team can win. It's close enough that I think they can win. I think a lot of this comes down to how much value Nero can get on this Pharah. Smurf and Fearless pretty even. I would have said last year yes, but I think this year's Fearless has been better. But I also think the Shock just haven't been as good, so you gotta keep that in mind. So a lot of this is gonna be on Punk to apply pressure. So this is just a, oh. I don't like the fact that Shock lost the point, but if they win the team fight, it doesn't matter. Woo. Oh, that's a problem. The visor was just so much value. And you sort of see how, like, Nero's struggling to get a ton of value. Oh, nice res by Twilight. You see how Shock is struggling to get value right now? With the Pharah? Like, it feels like Nero's just, like, shooting at shields or he's getting defense matrix and that kind of stuff. Compared to, like, Valentine. Valentine got a visor. Iron 37 got a dragon. Oh, was that Anza got a dragon? No, I agree. I think Violet has definitely been better than Twilight this year. I think Twilight... I would play Twilight. I legitimately would prefer to just see Twilight FD God. And then give FD God the resources to improve. It feels like they've kind of given up on FD God, if you know what I mean. Yo, Anthony, sorry I missed your 55-month resub. Much love, my dude. Hope everything's going well. And Flaming Mountain, thank you for the 3 months. These VODs helped so much. I'm glad I could help. It feels like they've given up on FD God, other than when they need to play Lucio, right? Only in Lucio. Which kind of sucks, because I think FD God can play the Brig and can play the Mercy. I think they just needed to give him more time. Obviously, he struggled, but I don't think the Violet Twilight support duo is it. Is playing communication and shot calling. And I've heard that as well, that Violet's communication and shot calling is important to the way that San Francisco Shock play the game. And we've never really known FD God as a great communicating player. Like, I've never heard someone be like, yeah, FD God's understanding and communication is next level. He's mechanically insane, I think we can all agree, but at some point communication does become a factor. So maybe that is the reason they're playing Violet and Twilight, and this is what they think is the best course ahead. I can 100% respect that. They know better than any of us do, right? So it does seem a little weird though when you have Violet and Twilight switching between roles, playing Mercy and Lucio and stuff like that. Does Flex Support normally shock call? It depends on the player. Like when I played Flex Support, I communicated a lot as Flex Support. But I think the game has changed since I was a Flex Support. Flex Supports don't communicate anywhere near as much as they used to. Oh, that wasn't a great barrage. What makes certain roles better for comms? So, I'm sorry I'm going on a lot of tangents, but I think these are interesting questions. Main support and main tank are generally the two most important roles for communication. Mainly because you don't have to focus as much on mechanics. Both main tanks and main supports are mechanically the simplest, and you can be a lot more aware of everything. Your role requires you to be more aware of everything that's happening in the game, while as a DPS, you do need to be very selfish. Like, how does a Tracer or a Sombra communicate effectively with the rest of the team with what's happening? They can't see everything that's happening. They don't know what's happening, right? So generally, those two roles are the most important. Flex supports do just need to focus on mechanics and also being in the right position as well. So I'm not saying like other roles don't communicate, and there are some players of different roles that communicate way more than a lot of the other roles, but that's generally the best way to explain it. Yeah, like everyone target calls, everyone communicates, everyone has to give their 2 cents. But I would say in general, the quietest players are DPS. I don't know what it is with the DPS, but they just hate to fucking talk. Every DPS like I played with, I have not played. Who was the DPS who communicated the most? It might have been Coolmat actually, when Coolmat was a DPS player. Jake, I never played with Jake. Me DPS, me no talk. There are definitely players like Jake. Jake did it, but like Jake, I think I remember looking back a few years ago. I remember Jake saying that he struggled because he was the main shot caller and he wanted to communicate a lot, but he thinks that took so much away from his game as a DPS player because he couldn't focus on DPSing. He was so focused on what the rest of the team was doing, communicating effectively, that he wasn't self-absorbed enough to just play his own game, right? Alright, so we have Nero actually switched back over to the Torb. So their comp, they should have a comp mismatch again here, right? So this we talked about it. Shock's comp should beat the Boston Uprising comp. Let's have a look at what happens here. The biggest issue with what they did is like look at their ult charge. They only had the window. They have no ult, so they're gonna probably lose this fight, and they'll probably go into last fight territory after they lose this fight unless they lose it fast. Twilight plays Zen this series, yeah. So now Twilight's on the brig, right? So now they're, as I said, they're doing a hodgepodge of Twilight and Violet are kind of playing everything. But nothing that they play really impresses me except for the things that they're known for, right? Like, I think Twilight's Ana, Violet's Zen, Twilight's Zen, Violet's Baptiste, maybe Twilight's Baptiste. Those, I feel comfortable with either of them playing. But when they're both, I'm not confident in either Violet or Twilight's both Brig or Mercy, right? Maybe I could be wrong. I haven't watched a ton of it, but they haven't, nothing I've seen has given me confidence. So they're just struggling to get with the dive. The Uprising are using their ults very well to just sort of like pressure the Shock away every time that they try and step up. They will have Supercharger for this one. They're going to go through white, which is interesting. Twilight used to play Brig? Yeah, like... Well, actually, did he play Brig? When did he play Brig? Could Moth play Brig? Yeah, I've seen Moth play a lot of Brig. Both Twilight and Violet played Brig last year. I remember that they both played them bits and pieces, right? I'm actually interested. Let's have a look at this. I actually want to look at this. Stats lab. Well, let's see what the stats say. Okay. Heroes. we can there is a tool in which we can do this. 2021. Fuck, can I not see previous years? I think I can. Why do I feel like we did this last time and there's a way that I can do it? I just can't remember. If I go here, previous year. Oh, I don't think that works. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what I wanted. 2020, San Francisco Shock. Heroes played, all stages. All right, what do we got? Twilight played 33% Brig. You are right. He played 3 hours of Brig. So not a ton of Brig, but, you know, as much Ana and Baf and Zen as he played. So Twilight did come into the Brig. I remember he actually came in to play the Brig for Moth instead, right? They benched Moth so that Twilight could play the Brig. Violet doesn't have anywhere near as much play on the Brig as Twilight. Interesting. You guys are right. Alright, so they use the bongo. The bongo doesn't, like, I think this bongo is too far away. Like, I feel like this is way, I think maybe they're afraid of the EMP, so they use it early, but like, look at where they use it, right? Like, they use it so far away that Boston's just like, okay, we'll chill. Bongo comes out later. This is a great EMP. I actually love this EMP. Not trying to force the backline, just, let's just EMP Smurf. Smurf does a great job of getting his Fortify off before the EMP goes down, but he still just gets bullied. Tynoon gets instantly cancelled for a reload. Molten Core. They got Molten Core, they got Rally. This should be good. Oh, I actually remember seeing this. Look at this. Oh. I'm surprised Nero's behind this shield. That was a great bomb by Punk, but Twilight literally just saved everybody with that shield. That was sick from, sick play from Twilight on the brick. Oh! Twilight gets pulse bombed and still doesn't die. Fucking rally. Oh, that's a bad rally from Faith. That's a very bad rally from Faith. This fight is over. Alright, now Boston's in trouble. Doomfist? I don't know if Doomfist would have been my pick against McCree, Tor, Brig. Stanwell gets the touch. Woo! Gets murdered by Valentine. They just don't have any ults. They need Myeonbong to get this Transcendence, but by the time he gets there, it's over, yeah. They needed Faith's rally there. Like, that was a pretty big mistake from Faith there, using that rally. Alright, first map goes to San Francisco Shock. I assumed San Francisco Shock lost that map, but I guess I was wrong. Why? Can Matrix eat Bap Heals? Yes. Matrix eats everything. Yum, yum, yum.
Ready for battle.
Alright, so we have Super back in the lineup.
Attackers income.
So what do we got? So, this is actually interesting, because I remember Johnny explaining to me why they're a thing. They come out
4, 3, 2, 1. Attack
with this comp, right?
defend objective A.
They don't see what they're playing against, right? And then they see Reinhardt, right? So they see the Reinhardt. Punk's like, Reinhardt. So Valentine switches to Genji. I don't understand why Genji is good against this. Like, what about McCree? Like, when you make that switch that quickly, that makes it seem like you know what you're doing. But on top of that, they're going to play Zen Ana, which is historically a very bad support duo because they don't really synergize at all. I guess they are going against like a shield slow comp, but I just don't like it. I think Torb's gonna have a bad time trying to do anything. IM37 goes Hanzo. So now they're playing. So let's think about it, right? They're playing Ana Zen with a Hanzo. So it makes you think like, oh, they're gonna just try and do a ton of front-loaded damage, right? They're gonna try and break the shield, do a ton of damage, get a Genji Blade, and go. Why is Stan 1 playing Wrecking Ball then? Stan 1 should be on the Orisa. If they're gonna do that and they're just gonna IM37 on Youngmong, let him stand behind an Orisa shield, shoot at their shield, force Super to do something, right? That would make more sense. And then Valentine can like off angle with the Faith or something like that. But instead, their comp is counterintuitive to itself with the Genji and the Hanzo and the Wrecking Ball and the Zen. So they're just gonna sort of stand. They're not gonna do anything, and they're just gonna prod around while they try and get a blade. Shock don't have to do anything right now, right? Like Shock they have no thing. All they have to do is stand on point, wait for Boston to walk too close, and then kill them, right? And don't let them charge ults. San Francisco Shock, go for an off angle. Oh, Arns did not get the message they were going back. So IM37 kills Arns, right? That is like legitimately best case scenario, right? So they get the pick onto the Kree. That's great. Silent G, thank you very much for the Prime sub. Much love. So best case scenario, they've got the pick. They get the nano. I hate this nano onto the Genji as well. I would almost prefer to see it on like a Diva or something. But they nano the Genji when he doesn't have a dash. He's not going to get anything out of this. Stan 1 tries to do something because they have advantage. And then instantly gets killed. The nano doesn't get anything. Stan 1's dead. Okay. Now they're going to charge another nano. They're at 90% to a blade. Oh, what is that? That's filthy. That's filthy. What sticker is on your Drew? It used to be my no leak symbol logo, but I don't. It sort of tore off a little bit. Here are some nasty things on Torb. Yeah. So once again, they're charging up to a nanoblade. Okay. Nothing's really happened. That's 2 minutes right there.
Time to raise my APM.
I would prefer to see Arns on an off angle here. I would like to see Arns over here. Yeah, I actually like this play by Arns. They need to know the nanoblade is coming soon. So they're splitting up, right? So they split up Twilight and thing. They're essentially cutting their losses. Understanding that when the nanoblade comes out, they want to not be all together. Super tries to chat it up and get the pin. Valentine gets all three of them, right? I like the flank from Arns, but unfortunately doesn't really get anything from it. Quiet's going to get a rally, but it's probably not going to do anything. They're over. This fight should be over. It's going to use the rally anyway. Stall this out.
Time to raise my APM.
So, Punky uses the Diva Bomb. Twilight gets got. Okay, attempted a re-engage from Shock, but you know, it doesn't really work out. And here's my problem with this composition, right? Other than that, then IM37 just killing a ton of people, or the Genji getting a bunch of random dash resets. This was best case scenario, right? The Nanoblade gets 3, they get the point, all that kind of stuff, but it takes 3 minutes to do it, right? If something went wrong, if anything went wrong, like Valentine gets bashed, gets pinned, let's say Super hits that pin, Valentine gets pinned and dies, like, the game, I think they just get full point health. The game just ends. And that's what I don't like about the Genji, is he's so bad in the neutral that the blade is not worth charging for. Do the players see the game with team colors? No, they see it like you would in any normal game with red and blue. So it gets worse, okay? So now they have 3 minutes remaining. Remember, it took them 3 minutes to hit the last blade, okay? Keep that in your mind. They have 3 minutes left. Okay, so none of the Genji. That's pretty good for Shock. You know, they're on the spawn camp. That forces the nano out. It's not the worst case scenario. Obviously, they would have liked to have stalled and won a fight, but they didn't get anything. So, but it's not the worst. I hate how little presence the Uprising are taking, right? Like, why are they not taking space? Like, why is nobody contesting the high ground? We have 5 people just being best friends on the cart. Like, they're just sitting on the cart, not doing anything. Arns is just walking for free. Arns is just walking up. Nero's camping Faith, just kills Faith. Like, this is just like, what are we doing? Like, they're not doing anything. They're just pushing the cart. Best friend squad. So, okay, now it's like, okay, they got a blade though. Faith switches to the Brig as well. So now they're playing Brig, Brig Zen, so they don't have a nano for the blade. So they're just gonna probably just pop the blade. They just want to pull the blade and try and get the, they're probably gonna try and get the Baptiste with it or something like that. Like, I think this is a prime time to pull the blade, right? They're chasing your diva. Let's pull the blade. They just need to use it, right? They just need to use it. If you're gonna be stuck on Genji, you may as well just go, right? So, Punk dies. Myeonbong uses Transcendence. IM37 uses Dragon while Valentine is dead. Forces out the Twilight Rally. I don't know if that was necessary, but IM37 hits another great shot. Boston Uprising commit another ultimate into this fight after the Shock of Use Rally, and they put in the mines. So, it's like, this is awful for Uprising. Faith switches back to Ana. So now they're like, well, now we need to charge another blade. No, for the blade. Okay. Remember, 3 minutes ago. Now there's only 1 minute 20 going. Can we see some Faith Ana? I don't really want to look at the individual players on this one. I think it's better to look at this one from an over the head because I think it's showing a massive failure from the Boston Uprising. Window goes down. No, it doesn't do anything really. Slow him down. But I just charged Amp for the minefield, yeah. And that's why the minefield was really bad there, right? Like, so many different levels of bad. So Valentine's in here. Punk gets his bomb forced. How does Punk get his bomb forced? Oh, Punk just didn't get healed as much as he needed to. I don't know where Faith is. That would have been really important for Faith to come in and get those heals, but he doesn't get those heals. Punk gets his bomb forced. All of a sudden, Valentine is stuck in this room. And now Valentine dies. Okay, so they use bomb. They lose Valentine, and Punk dies on the card again. Hot take, I feel like Nero's been the best on Shock so far, even though you got the hate. I agree. I think Nero has been the best player on the San Francisco Shock this year as well. I think he's been very flexible. I think he's been able to play everything. I think he's been good on everything. And I think he's been doing his job. And I don't think the failures of the Shock are anything to do with Nero. People are going to blame Nero because he's the new kid on the block, but it's just people who don't know what they're talking about looking for someone to blame. If someone on this, if someone can give me a legitimately high valued reason of why they think Nero has been the problem, I'll listen, but I don't think you can make an argument for it. So we have 5 seconds left. Don't worry, we have the Nano Blade. We have the Transcendence. We have the Dragon. We have all of our ults. Unlosable, right? Their biggest issue is they have no one who can deal with Nero right now as well. Nero is just playing this game for free. Okay, time to go, guys. Look at how defensive the Shock are playing. Super's playing bodyguard. The Nano needs to come out like 3 seconds ago. So now, all of a sudden, Arns has got the flank. Applying pressure. Valentine still doesn't have the Nano or blading. Like, why is this Nano not coming out? Like, Faith needs to be way more aggressive right now. He needs to get this Nano onto... I don't know what Faith is doing, but Valentine today dies before even getting the Nano. Then they use the Transcendence to help stand one and touch the point. The Dragon goes through the point when no one's really there. This was tragic from the Boston Uprising, if I'm being honest. Like, Boston goes one game and it makes me think that they like got a great grasp on what they're doing, and then you watch this stuff and you're like, first of all, why are they playing Genji? Second of all, is Boston never going to play Pharah Mercy? I don't think we've seen Boston play any Pharah Mercy this season, and that is, in my opinion, what the break, how do you counter the San Francisco Shock? Genji, I think we can all say pretty confidently, ain't it. So I would love to see them go for something different. Even mirror the comp. They either need to mirror or play Pharah, in my opinion. Think Striker will turn? No, Striker's gone. Where do you think Shock are ranked right now? It's impossible to tell where anyone is ranked right now. Because this weekend was an absolute clusterfuck of like a circle of teams beating other teams who are beating teams who are beating teams. I think Shock are doing better. I actually really like the way Shock are playing the game right now. They played it on Anubis. Anubis makes a little bit more sense because you just need to cap 2 points, and maybe it works a little bit, but doesn't mean it's a good comp. And I think this is an important distinction that you need to make. Some people go like, oh, it worked here, so therefore it's good. Let's say the Genji comp, it's not gonna never work, right? Like, you can always make it work. Let's just say the chance of playing the Genji comp working, 20%, right? The chance of playing the Pharah comp and winning, 40%, right? It's not a this either works or it doesn't. It's you have a much higher chance of winning if you play this composition. So 20% of the time, Genji works every time. Yeah, so we're gonna see Boston Uprising slowing it down once again. They're gonna play the Brig Zen. I don't like the Brig Zen with the Orisa either. Like, I think this Brig Zen doesn't make sense. If you're gonna play this comp, you need to play the Bat Brig, right? Like, what Shock are playing, I think this is the comp. Like, Super can play Orisa, he can play the Reinhardt, whatever he's really feeling. I think the Shock comp is good. I don't like the Boston comp. I feel like they're playing... Like, how does Faith do anything in this comp, right? Maybe they thought Shock were gonna roll out on a dive. I don't think Shock were ever gonna roll out on a dive. They were probably gonna potentially roll out on a Pharah. Maybe, but then even then Brig's useless. So I don't really like this composition from the Boston Uprising. I think they're just gonna straight up lose to the damage output that the Shock have, especially with the Baptiste. They have more healing. Nero kills Valentine. Dude, IM37 has been the only redeeming quality from this team so far in this map. Why Bap over Zen? Because you need the healing. If you're going to play these slower comps, you need the healing for your tanks, right? Because the Orisa and the D.Va are going to take a ton of damage in these comps, right? There's just like, the D.Va needs to play aggressive and like use the Matrix, but she's going to take a ton of damage. When Stan 1's shield dies, he's going to be in the front line, he's going to take a ton of damage. How do you heal that up as a Zen Brig? Brig's going to struggle to get Inspire uptime. Zen only has one orb, right? That doesn't heal enough, right? The Baptiste is needed for the throughput healing. And the lamp is just better, right? Like, so look at this, right? So Boston get the first pick, right? They're in a 6v... I think it's a 5v5, actually, right? Who's dead from Boston? Just a soldier, right? Just Valentine. So it's a 5v5. Look at Punk's health here. And, like, the issue that exists for Punk, right? So he gets packed. He's still at half health. Let's get a little bit of hit. Maybe he got some Inspire. He has to go in to apply pressure, but he's at 300 health, right? They have to go contest the point, but they don't have enough healing to get him healthy. So by the time he gets on the point, he just gets absolutely rolled, right? And then Stan 1 is the other frontliner. They just don't have enough healing or like defensive utility to keep them alive. And that is the problem with Brig Zen. The reason Brig Zen works with like Wrecking Ball, D.Va, and Tracer and Sombra is because people don't need, your frontline doesn't need a ton of healing. They can go get packs. They can go do all those things. Should have gone Bap Zen. Bap Zen is, if the Bap Zen is a very greedy pick, but it would have worked very well against the San Francisco Shock. The Brig is not a good pick against shields and like high damage output characters like you see here. Nero with the hammer? Yeah, okay, I guess we got to go back for the hammer kill. Bonk. Gets him. Why not run Bap Mercy? Mercy's okay. I think Zen's better. I think if you just rather have the damage in the Discord orbs, have the transcendence, you know. Mercy would be fine though. How high is Pharah character ceiling? You mean like as a hero? That's quite high. Like we watched Fleta play yesterday, and he was just absolutely an absolute nut job. Yeah, I'm gonna do an East review after this one as well. Probably a Philly game after this game. Nero gets Valentine again? Dude, Nero's fucking nasty with it. That is filthy through a window. Why is BapZen greedy? Because BapZen is greedy because if Boston switch to a dive, you get rolled over. BapZen are terrible support duo together. Because neither one of them protect the other one very well. And that is why it is greedy. How did Byunbong die? I think he got hit by a fire strike from Super. Oh, let me show you. Gonna do a Houston review? Yeah, we will at some point. We're gonna watch every team from the East at some point. Oh, actually, it wasn't even through the window. He just got hit. They're just caught in that corridor. No, we haven't reviewed Sold yet either. Yeah, I don't know if Punk didn't have it. Like, actually, I'm actually curious. Now that you mentioned Punk, did Punk not have any Matrix? Yeah, so when they first put down the window, right? Punk had to use all of his Matrix to get everyone out. He just doesn't have an... Oh, he had Matrix. He should have caught that one. He definitely should have caught that fire strike. He knows he fucked up. He couldn't have avoided the initial damage that killed Valentine, but he could have saved Byunbong. Just didn't catch it. Rally on the cart. The Boston is just in such a bad spot. The Valentine soldier just didn't get anything done. They're just in trouble. What does Boston need to do over the off season? Hey man, we still got to finish this season first. Like Boston are probably going to make the play-ins. They can definitely make improvements. I would say Boston's biggest weakness so far this season has been that they lose to themselves. Like straight up, they don't like playing conventional. They keep trying to force the Zen. I think in every single tournament so far this season, they've tried to play Genji at some point. And the only time it worked was against that one time against Houston. Every other time it looks like a throw. And they just, I don't know if it's just they're not comfortable with certain things, but yeah. And more teamwork? No, I don't even think it's teamwork. I think they have great teamwork when they play something, but it feels like they come into every match with, we're gonna play this. And they don't adapt on the fly well at all. They have a plan, and if the plan works, great. They do great, they play well, and they win. That's what happened against Paris, right? But the Boston Uprising are having issues here, right? They just not able to adapt to what San Francisco Shock are doing. They don't know how to deal with this Kree Torp. They can't play the Tracer Sombra, and they can't play the Genji. So they're like, well, what do we need to play? And as I said, the counter is the Pharah, and I'm actually glad that I saw this. I forgot that they played this. If they can play this comp, they should play more of this Pharah, and I think this is the map that they win. So hopefully this is like gonna prove it, but they can... The McCree Torb Reinhardt doesn't win versus the Pharah in my opinion. It just doesn't. There's just too much damage going out, and if they can find a defensive spot, I think it gets really hard. Why are there so many confused and inconsistent teams in the league? Houston and Justice, for the example. It's because of how quickly the metas are changing. Remember, hero pools, we only have... when hero pools come out, they only have like 1 week of scrims to work it out. And that is generally why week 1 is just an absolute clusterfuck of no one knows what's going on. Everyone's just trying their best thing. And that's why there's so much inconsistency. We don't have consistent metas between stages. So therefore it's about who picks up the best meta. And it's very hard to do well. So I think those teams struggle with that. So we get the slam. Oh, Stan 1's just dead. That was Stan 1 overcommitted there. He didn't get out well. Not gonna lie, that's terrible league planning. Well, it's not league planning. It's they did it intentionally to stop. They want diverse metas. Like, people can complain all they want about, like, teams getting screwed. We've had a lot of metas. Like, we've had a lot of different heroes played. We've had a lot of different metas, and it's cool. It's been great to see so many different things played. That gives you variability. It means that, like, would you guys prefer to go back to GOATs in 2019 where it's like, Shock were gonna win. every match that they played in the first 3 stages. Same with the Vancouver Titans. Like, the only games that were interesting were like the finals when Shock played Vancouver. But for the most part, games were decided before they even began because one team was way better. But teams cannot master the meta. But let me explain it this way, right? You guys say you want to master the meta, and that is a great thing to say in theory. But the issue that happens is that it gets very boring because eventually everyone's going to play one comp. And that's what we see. Every time we end up in Hawaii, people always end up playing the same one thing, right? And you guys wouldn't be saying this if, let's say, right, that we didn't have hero pools, right? And everyone just played Lucio, Moira, Winston. We played the like Neo Goats or whatever it was coined style. And imagine if we played that for the first 3 stages. Would you guys be saying the same thing? No, everyone would be rioting, saying the game is dead and that this is the most boring shit we've ever seen in our lives. But that potentially could have happened. We could have ended up in a Lucio, Moira, Winston meta for like a really, really long time where everyone just starts playing the same thing. So people need to, you got to be careful what you wish for. I agree. Having more consistency in the meta in terms of like allowing players and teams to get a good grasp on what is good so that we see better gameplay, so that we can see teams sort of like hit their potential and hit their peak is great. There is definitely value in aiming for those things, but there is definitely some negatives to that, which is everyone ends up playing the same thing and then we see the same meta head to head and then some teams just succeed and some teams don't. Yeah, and Petra brings up a good point of you are at a major disadvantage if you play in the first weekend because there is more variability between those matches just because no one's worked out the meta. If you play second weekend, you have an extra week to practice, you get to see what everyone else is playing, you get to see what works, what doesn't work, all that kind of stuff, and that gives you a much bigger head start compared to, you know, like, let's look at the Washington Justice. Oh, actually, Washington Justice is a bad call because they played the right meta, they just sucked. Let's look at it's a team that, like, kind of Boston, right? Like, they just didn't really have a good grasp on the meta. Why can't everyone play all weekend? Well, because, yeah, you can't have everyone play a match. Like, if you had every single team, like, teams want to play more than just one game a weekend, right? And it would be a scheduling nightmare getting all these teams to play, getting them in right now. It's just, there's a lot of things that go around, right? Like, Let's put it this way, right? Like, Matt Mr. X is in control of these things. Matt's a smart guy. I talk to him about these kinds of things, all stuff. I trust John. I think John understands that they get it. They understand the value of everything that we're talking about. They've talked about everything that we've talked about, and this is the best scenario for them. Matt's a smart guy. He has his moments. But yeah. It's hard with math. We'll see. Burnout is real, yeah. I think there's a value in having... I think the reason that they play twice in a weekend is for burnout as well. Like, it's giving teams that extra week off so that they don't have to always play a game every weekend. I don't think that's necessary, but yeah. Alright, so we're at the Pharah again. Let's get back into this. Do you think balance chains have been better since Kaplan left? I think they've been better lately. I don't think it has anything to do with Kaplan. I think they were getting better before Kaplan left. I think they've been doing a good job. I don't think it was Jeff who was stalling our metas, right? Remember, it's not just one man who's making the decisions. So IM37 gets another one, dude. IM37's Hanzo has actually been kind of nutty. I think Jeff really mismanaged the game. I think you guys, I'm going to just reiterate again. You cannot hold one person accountable for there being major issues in the game. It's not like one person controls everything. There is a massive team of people making Overwatch, controlling the game, decisions that are being made. It is not just one person as a dictator, just like, no, we do this, we do that, we do this. Like, it's just not how it works. You can't blame one person for anything. It's the same reason you can't give credit to Jeff for when the game was doing well or for everything that happens. There's a ton of balanced people and there's a ton of people doing jobs that aren't just Jeff. Donk. Alright, let's go. Iron 37 gets to pick it with the Hanzo. Still people working on Overwatch. Yeah, Jeff was the only one left. When I see a change in vision, Jeff was to invest in Overwatch 2. Okay. You literally just didn't listen to anything that I just said. Do you think it was Jeff being like, everyone stop what you're doing in Overwatch 1. You must listen to me, Jeff Kaplan. Okay? We're gonna look about Overwatch 2. Us, everyone. No, you stop working on that hero for Overwatch 1. We're gonna go work on Overwatch. It is a much bigger thing than one person. It is not one person controlling everything, okay? There are multiple people working on everything. You cannot hold one person accountable. And if there is a change in direction for the game that you think happened, you need to hold the whole Team 4, which is what the Blizzard company who creates Overwatch is called, accountable for these things. Not one person. It is the same thing, like when we're talking about players, where you can't hold one player accountable when things go wrong. When that's something that you don't like, you can't hold one person accountable. IM37 got another pick. Oh, that's right. This was this one. Woo! Custer Copium? Okay.
Just in time. Routing power to forward barrier.
Cool guys don't look at explosions. That's literally what that was. IM37 shot it and he's like, I don't fucking care. Later, bitch! Just fucking rolled his way out of there. Disgusting. Bonk! I think I want to see more IM37 Hanzo. IM37 is shredding them right now. Alright, Choi Diva Bomb engage. Nice job by Faith getting out of the way.
Now show them.
Oh, nice sleep on a super. Faith, please heal Myeonbong. Alright.
Bombs away.
Oh, nice hit by Punk. This might have been a problem if this hit. Oh, that's a good 8. Guys, I'm curious. Who would you like to see play the Tracer for the San Francisco Shock? Would you rather see Nero or Glista? Striker. Not one of the options, okay? It's over. It's time to move on. I think Nero. And it's mainly for the flexibility, I think, of... I think either one is fine. I think either one can work, but I like Nero in this meta for the flexibility that he provides to the team. For sure.
Routing power to forward barrier. Get through this.
30 seconds.
Glitster Tracer with Nero Echo? Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I think Nero has a place in the team, but I think in this situation, I do like that they play Nero over Glitster.
Gotcha.
Oh, good stick by Nero. Let's have a look at this. Twilight went BAP.
30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I prefer the Brig, but I think against the Hanzo Pharah, maybe the Briggs kind of feels bad. So maybe the BAP actually works. It's a comfort pick for them as well. Oh, later, bitch. Nero gets it. This is the last map in the set. No, there's one more map after this one. What hero would Tayo play if he did play? I think you just answered your own question. What hero would he play if he played?
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Genji? Maybe. Tayo is one of those players that has fallen into the trap of you're an unproven player who joins a superstar team. So therefore, there is never any incentive for them to not play their superstar players and play someone who isn't known, right? He got signed to be the Genji player, but then we ended the Genji meta, so we haven't seen him play. Maybe Tayo could play at this level better than any of these other players, but I don't think they're going to take a risk on playing Tayo because you're going to need to invest a lot of time and resources to get him there. And I don't think the Shock, especially seeing as they're struggling this season, they're not going to invest those resources into a player that is unproven. They don't know if he can get there. Tayo would be better off going to a weaker team. Like, maybe next year, right? Like, let's say Vancouver Titans blow up their roster. Tayo could be a great player to pick up. He knows what a championship caliber team is. He's seen it. He understands the play. He is solid. He is a solid player. Give him that opportunity, right? But I don't see him playing on the San Francisco Shock. Isn't Tayo's Ashe pretty good? Yeah, but he's playing on a team with Arns. Case in point. Alright, so, Shock, I don't know why, like, I really don't like this switch from Boston. This feels really poorly thought out, going to play this composition against, I thought they had a good comp. They almost full held the San Francisco Shock on first point. Why did they switch? When did they switch? One second, I need to open my window. It is so hot. Orkchop, thank you very much for the 5 months. Yeah, you go Shock. I like Choi Hyobin. Choi's a boss. So they're going to switch off the Pharah. Yeah, so they switch off the Pharah. They go to Tracer. They go to Brig. Yeah, I don't really like these switches. I need to open my window. It's 18 million degrees in here. Shock switch. Oh, that's an interesting thing. I was not paying attention. So Shock went... Oh, so interesting. So they see what Shock do. So they want to switch off the Pharah. Ah, okay, makes sense, makes sense. This makes more sense for why Boston switch. So they see Boston switch, they see Shock switch to the, like, they're on the Trace, they're on the BAP, they're on the Wrecking Ball, they're like, they're gonna play the dive. We want to get off of the Pharah because their dive beats our Pharah, but then Shock just switched back to their bunker comp, and now Uprising is in trouble. Yeah, there's the good old rock, paper, scissors. Would you say Boston has a chance at Hawaii? No. I don't think Boston can consistently beat any of the top teams. Oh, Choi gets hacked. Violet's trance is bad. That's a really bad transcendence from Violet. I think they need to get back on this high ground. Lemon, thank you very much for the 1 year. Much love, Cussle Lurk. Oh, Hans gets isolated in the back line. Oh, Stead was alive. That's impossible. I see it, but I don't believe it. Valentine gets the pulse off. Don't really do a whole lot.
60 seconds.
I think Atlanta has one of the best shots to qualify yet. So Munbong with the Transcendence. That was a really good Transcendence. That allows them to go into this room, right? Allows them to go aggressive. I really like that Transcendence from Yumbong. So Arn switches over to the Soldier. Valentine goes to Genji. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Funky's fragging out, yeah.
Seconds remaining.
Alright, let's see how this Genji works. Like, it's you know what's bad about the Genji, right? I think something we can all agree on, right, is that the neutral game for Genji is really bad. He has like 1 minute left in the game. He's never going to charge a blade. Why go Genji? Oh, nice bash by Faith there. Save Valentine's life. I'm gonna feel real silly if he gets a blade and kills everyone. Go Genji because shurikens are cool. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm hearing your feedback about Genji being bad, but here's my counterpoint: ninjas are cool. As soon as I swear, as soon as I open the window, our air conditioner comes on.
0 to 1. Switching sides.
Big blade. You turned and missed it. I'm sure I didn't miss anything.
Initiating match.
Should Super played the Genji? Yeah, Super switch Genji.
1.
So they're gonna come out the Pharah, which is a good call against the defensive of the Rhine. I think this was such a greedy pick by the San Francisco Shock coming out on the Rhine. Like, I think this was asking to lose. I think they should have come out on the Wrecking Ball. I think they know that they can potentially win with the Wrecking Ball. They just got bopped by the Pharah and realized that their comp gets countered by Pharah, right? So they probably knew that their comp gets countered by Pharah. So to come out as Reinhardt on defense, I feel like it's just like challenging Boston to just play Pharah. Well, if they came out on like the McCree, maybe they come out on like the Wrecking Ball stuff, like a little bit more, then it can work for them. And they have a better chance of winning. Can Super play Wrecking Ball? Yeah, but we were talking about it before. People seem to like Super's Wrecking Ball more than Smurfs. I don't have an opinion yet. You think Nero's improved since Striker left? No. I think Nero has just always been good and people are just stupid. No, Super hasn't played a lot of ball in out. He hasn't, but he's always played behind. Smurf's always played it historically, but Super's just a good player. Like, Super is just good at the game. Super could play every single role on main tank on any other team other than the San Francisco Shock, and it wouldn't be a throw. I think Super could be the permanent main tank for San Francisco Shock, and it would still be good, right? I think it's just better when they, that's a little bit better when they play Smurf on these dive heroes, right? Like, Super is just an all-around great player. But people seem to meme that he is a Reinhardt one trick, but he's just not. It's just the role that he's been given on the team. The Cashew, yeah. People like to meme him, but he's a great player. And he streams on top of that, yeah. He's built different. He really is. Check Custis PayPal, yeah. Oh! Good damage to Nano Pharah. That's a pretty good stall from the San Francisco Shock, though. If you're the San Francisco Shock, you take those, right? 1.5 minute comes out of the clock. Honestly, not bad. I think Sparkle has fantastic impact, but Punk is on an okay team and still is showing off on Shock and Paris and the like. I want Punk for MVP. First of all, Sparkle is not the leading candidate for MVP. Boston beating Paris isn't a big attribution. I'm lost. All right, let's keep going. Punk not even the best player on his team. Yeah, I think Myunbong's the best player on the Boston Uprising anyway. Like Punk's been great this season. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Punk. He's a great player. I think he's made a great case. Like, I think he's one of the best Western off tanks we have in the league. I think he's really good. He really is. Deserves his spot in the league. But not everyone can win MVP, guys. Oh wow, great play by the Shock. Yeah, but that was clean dive by the Boston Uprising. Oh, run IM 37. Oh my god, but this splooge. Oh my god, that was terrifying. People are stealing hot takes. If you repeat the same question over and over and over again, and it's a bad question, I will eventually just make fun of you. If you ask a dumb question, I'm putting this out there for anyone who watches my. If you ask a dumb question, and I don't respond to it, it's probably because it's a dumb question. If you spam that question, I'm just gonna make fun of you for how bad your question is. I don't want to be mean to people, but if you make me be mean to you, I'm gonna be mean to you. That's just what I'm gonna do. So, it's just the reality. I am sorry if you feel offended by that, but I'm trying to spare you guys. All right, here we go.
60 seconds remaining.
I am
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
clearing the area.
What is this Tim Tam tier list that I'm getting in my VOD review chat? We've fucking lost it. We've lost the plot. But moral of the story is Caramel Tim Tams are the best. Okay, I don't want to hear anything. And then it's original, and then everything else is just below that. What the fuck is a Tim Tam? If you don't know, you don't know. And you're missing out on life. Alright, so we have San Francisco Shock switch over to the dive. Boston recognize it. This is such a bad support line. This is a great recognition from the Boston Uprising, in my opinion. They switched to this. This is so greedy. Like, for the reasons that I said before, Bap Zen do not protect each other very well at all. Like, they become very susceptible to dives. And they don't... I also hate Baptiste when you're playing a Wrecking Ball comp. I don't think the Baptiste helps the Wrecking Ball at all. It doesn't help the Tracer. It's really just Arns, Violet, and Twilight playing in the backline, hoping they kill everything before they lose. So, like, and here's why I want to explain it as well, right? Like, so, the Baptiste and the Zen, they don't help each other very well, but when they do, right, like, so they have to protect each other, right? Like, both of them have to, like, the Zen has to try and kill the Tracer, while the Baptiste has to just permanently heal the Zen. While that is happening, the rest of the team is just dying, right? They have so much damage, but it's just hard to get away with it all. Why does Bap Zen work in the double shield meta? Because Bap Zen is great in the double shield meta because the Zen does a lot of damage, the Discord orbs exist, and the Baptiste does a lot of AoE healing, and you're playing as a unit, right? The strengths of Zen and Bap is that they do a ton of damage, Baptiste does a bunch of healing, Zen has the Discord, you have the defensive ultimate from Transcendence, everything is good, right? What Bap Zen doesn't work in is when you're getting dove. When you have constant pressure in your backline, you cannot protect each other effectively enough. So what happens is you're just always spending your time trying to help each other that you can't help anyone else. Because as Baptiste and Zen, your aim is very difficult to hit, right? If you're playing a Brig, it's very easy. If you have an Ana, you have you have your nades and your sleeps to like reduce pressure. Mercy has direct healing and like that kind of stuff. It just doesn't save you from a Wrecking Ball's Tracer. If a Wrecking Ball Tracer like slam on you, you just have to use your lamp instantly, and even then it's probably not enough, right? Ana Brig's best support lane. Ana Brig's okay. Honestly, Ana Brig works pretty well in dive because the Ana and the Brig have like they have shield base, they have sleep, they have nade, they can protect each other very well, and that's why you see it in the Winston dive, right? Let's look at some Nero Tracer for you guys. Oh, nice pulse. Nero's is refusing to lose. He's gonna die. He doesn't have health. This has got to be so fright. He got stuck on this small table. Sweet. Oh, Super gets slam. It gets hacked on his slam.
60 seconds.
Nerf this.
Victory.
Okay.
I'm back in the
All right, so Boston get that one. I think Shock trying to force the Reinhardt on that defense was questionable, and I think that led them to overall, like, screwing themselves over with composition. The issue that I think Boston is going to have on this map is I don't think Pharah is anywhere near as effective as it is on Route 66 here. So the counter to what the San Francisco Shock are playing isn't going to be as effective on this map. So I think they can get away with playing this.
Defend objective.
Do you think Nero should be a mainstay outside of a double hit scan meta? 100%. Nero is like, in my opinion, Nero is like the Western Prophet. I feel like we haven't seen him play enough like Genji or something like that. But I honestly believe that. Like, I think he's just so good at everything, and he hasn't really been given the respect he deserves. Mainly because he didn't play on the charge, right? And people are starting to open their eyes to how good Nero is. So, like, I'm not saying he's there yet, but I think he can. Like, I think his hero pool is what made me say that he's the Western Prophet, right? Like, he has the depth of hero pools, and he's so good at everything. That is what I think. Like, I think Nero can play anything and I'm comfortable in it other than hit scan. And I think that's where he's like his weakness lies. But even then, like, I think his McCree is pretty good. Like, he can play it to like a reasonable degree if he needs to. Nero Dante, best Western players. I like both of those players as like the Western DPS. He's had some questionable Mei performance. What? I would say Mei is one of Nero's best heroes. What do you mean? Nero Mei was the only thing keeping me going in the San Francisco Shock in the first half of the season. It's so good. His walls are so clean. Oh, wow. Violet got bopped. How does Nero die to this? Oh, Violet got pushed down. Oh, that was actually nasty. Damn, he just got absolutely eviscerated. Yeah, Choi has to... I think Choi had to all in on that Mercy. It didn't work, but I think that's the right play.
Time to read my APM.
Objective lost. New defense point. Objective B.
All right, let's see how they do on the second point. I think so. Pharah obviously works pretty well on the first point, but I think going into the second point, I think Pharah really struggles around here because there's a lot of protection of like the pillars, but also the skybox is so low, right? So it's very hard to like effectively move around. You can make it work, and we've seen a couple of teams make it work. I just think it's very hard to close out the fight. Like, you need a big barrage to really close it out. So this is a pretty good engage, right? On the Pharah from Valentine. They get the barrage. They blew everything though. They nano barrage, dragon. So Boston needs to win this fight soon. God, Shock have no ultimates for this. How do they get back into this? Do they just not? Do they get 2 capped here? I don't remember what happened. Oh, that kill by Nero is so important. Clean. Oh, he saw the Mercy as well there. Dude, that is like blood in the water. Look at Nero. So first of all, let's watch this. So he does this and he kills the Ana. Clean. Look at this recall, and look as soon as he realizes how low the Mercy is. He sees that Mercy health pool and he's like, oh, I'm fucking going. I want it. Oh, okay, I'll cut back. These are like fucking like vampire instincts kicked in. Oh, later, nerd. Drop the ankles. 2CP, yeah, 2CP is such a dumb game mode. And that cost Boston everything. Oh, do not go Ana, Zen. I don't like this pick either. I'd actually prefer to see them. I think in this comp, on this map, I think you need to play the Winston. I don't think the Wrecking Ball Zen works at all. I think the Zen is just too susceptible to death. I think Myeonbong should be Ana and Stamon should be Winston. What is happening here? Dude, we're playing like 9D chess. Everyone is just fucking... I didn't notice this in the game, but this is just rock, paper, scissors, back and forth. Boston just switched their whole comp and then switched back after Shock switched. But I don't think they're getting as much as they think they are. They're only getting 2 switch out of the Shock. Nero just goes back to Tracer. So Super goes back to Wrecking Ball. Yeah, I don't think you can do that, Boston. You gotta find a... They need to find a middle ground. The Shock have the spawn advantage. Super's like, oh, they're diving here. I'm gonna follow them. Sees the bomb go in there. It's like, I'm gonna stay out here. I don't know who they're going for. So they're going for Arms and Twilight. Oh, I like the rally from Twilight. Yeah, I think Boston need a consistent comp, and I think that probably, I would say, I would want to see the Tracer Sombra, Winston Ana Brig, I would say is probably the most consistent thing, especially against what the Shock are playing. I think it could definitely work against the Shock. Let's get some Arns Cree. What's the score? It is currently 2-1 to the San Francisco Shock. I like that they split up the BAP. So they split up they split Violet away, have him play really far away, and make it so that they have to kind of dive him, but they're also playing Arms and Twilight on the other side to just sort of like protect. So as much as the supports can't protect each other, they're playing so far back that they can always create a crossfire in some way. Whew.
I'm on fire.
If Arns kept on Overwatch, would he be an MVP this year? Maybe. Do you think they'll trade Glister? I think they would benefit from picking up a Tracer Specialist. I feel like Glister isn't that Tracer Specialist that they want. If they could pick up... I don't know how many of these exist, but if they could pick up a Tracer Genji player, I think that'd be really good for the Shock. Right? Like, if they had, then you could primarily play, like, Arns Nero most of the time, but then you could play, like, the Tracer Specialist if you ever needed it. Yeah, like your Kevsters, your Dantes, like, there's a couple of players, like, there's a couple of players that have that in their hero pool. I think that would, like, fit perfectly for it. Yaki would do really well on the San Francisco Shock, actually. Arns Nero Yaki? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The only issue I think they would have is if they went into a double hit scan, but I don't know if Nero would be able to feel that. Nero might be able to feel that. EQO, Yaki, Kevster. Yeah, there's definitely some DPS players that can do that. I don't know if they'll be able to acquire one, but we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, you can speculate a ton of players, but it needs to be realistic, right? Wow, that was brutal. Okay, that seems unnecessary. All right, let's get the Super Bowl. Let's see what everyone's talking about. I see Rascal coming back. I don't see Rascal coming back. I don't think Rascal's best heroes literally overlap with Nero. I consider Nero and Rascal to be like almost the same player, right? They're both very good. The heroes that they're very good at, Nero is also very good at. The Mei, the Pharah, the Echo, all those kind of things. But I also think Nero and Rascal, as far as I'm aware, their Traces and Genjis aren't their strong suits. But Nero's Tracer, I think, might be better. But yeah. Rascal's Trace is quite good as well. It's definitely serviceable. Good at Mei? Rascal is good at Mei. I think people can meme him, but I think he has been good at Mei. He's definitely been good in the past. What an Architect? Yeah, honestly, Architect coming back. I would prefer to see Architect come back to the Shock before I saw Rascal come back to the Shock. Plug the Prime stars. We're at 1K. Oh, no. I'm just gonna run some sweet ass ads after this VOD review, you know? Big. How did Choi just like turbo fed? What happened there? Did he get pushed in? Oh shit, fuck. I've done that, so I feel for him. I feel like, you know, one of the greatest off tanks to ever touch the game. I didn't think that would happen, but you know, here we are. Bombing to zone the EMP, I can tell you 100% that bomb was not built to zone the EMP. That just happened to be a coincidence. Oh! Nero just got fucking sent to the fucking nether realm, dude. Oh wow, they're getting picks. It shouldn't matter. Oh, that was clean tech. That was kind of nice. A little bit of a side action to get some height. Oh? You know what, Boston? You did a great job, okay? You came back into this fight, okay? You guys did it, okay? You, Myeonbong, Stan 1, Punk, you guys all did great, okay? But I don't have the nerve to tell you, but Twilight has rally, so you guys just lose the game. I know, it sucks, but you guys just lost. I know it doesn't feel like it yet, but you lost the game. Tragic. Nero Dooming coming, yeah. Rally's still the best ult in the game. I don't think it's the best ult in the game. It's definitely one of the strongest, though. There are some really good ults out there.
Let me get you patched up.
Delete Brig and 2CP? Ah, we can all hope. The Arn's Widow. Let's see what we got. What map? This is the last map. Best ult is EMP and Grav. Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably fair. Alright, well, never mind. Fuck you, Arns. I didn't want to watch you play Widow anyway. What would make Brig not meta? Brig's not meta like tons of time. Brig is not broken. I think we talked about this yesterday. Brig isn't broken. Brig is just very good at what she does, right? And that's a protective support character, right? But like when we're in Brawl meta, when we're in Rush meta, when we're in Dive meta, Brawl and Rush and like Double Shield, Brig isn't played. Like there's a ton of times in which Brig isn't played. Brig feels a niche probably. Yeah. Oh! Dude, oh my god. Nero just ended their careers. Valentine, yeah, that's... Whew. Alright, well.
Systems at max.
Can't believe Nero's the problem with San Francisco Shock. That's crazy, right, guys? It's crazy.
Objective A captured. New defense point. Objective B.
I'm surprised Nero doesn't go Torp here. I miss Nero versus Jimmy air battles, yeah. Is Mercy more meta than Brig? I think the entire support lineup is very balanced right now. I think everyone has a role, everyone has a niche, and everyone plays their part well. Like, I don't think there is a single character that I would support character that I would say is broken. I think they are all good in certain times and bad in others. Moira looking at you. Okay, guys. Moira is not broken. Just because in the lower ranks, maybe some of you guys can't kill the Moira, doesn't mean she's broken. It just means she's good at what she does. She is only very, very strong when you play as a 6-man collective unit. Which in the Overwatch League, they can do, and they do it from time to time, and that's when she seems really strong, but that does not mean she's broken. It's greater than 700 only. Oh, nice quick res by Twilight. Alright, this should be a time for Arns to shine. We know when something's broken. We'll let you know, Custer, when we work out it's broken. Alright, San Francisco Shock gets the win. Alright, thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that sort of reiterated my point, what I was trying to say, of like, I think the Boston Uprising are a good team at dealing with the Pharah and when they can, but if they get tilted off balance like you saw in this match, they just look lost when they don't know. Like, they couldn't work out their switches. They couldn't find something that the San Francisco Shock just couldn't counter. And one of the things that I am highest on the San Francisco Shock right now is that I think they have great understanding of what they want to play in certain given situations. Their support lineup's a mess, but if that's just the way it's going to have to be, it's the way it's going to have to be. They are both, Twilight and Violet are some of the best support players we've ever had in the league. They're making it work. And I think if anyone can make it work, it's going to be those guys. So I'm actually pretty high on the Shock. I actually think they can do quite well. Can they make it to Hawaii? We'll see, right? Only time will tell. They had a narrow loss to the Dallas Fuel recently. But even then, that was like a pretty head-to-head matchup of both playing their best composition. So I hope you guys found it interesting. Much love. I love you all. And I will see you guys next time.